I'd like to welcome our panelists, obviously. Thanks so much for being with us today. And I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank everyone involved in the organization of such an event. It's always a pleasure to work with and be a part of Hyper Games Conference. These types of panels are always super fun. I really enjoy being a part of this community that Hyper Games have built throughout these types of events. And I'll start by introducing myself. I'll try to keep it short. I'm the business development manager for Aden Games. We're a gaming company, game development studio rather, based in Istanbul, Turkey. We primarily focus on the casual to mid-core genre, along with Web3 and hyper-casual games. We're a studio of 12, and that's basically the very brief summary of what we are, what we do, and what I do. Like I said, I'm the business development manager, and I'll be moderating this panel about the overall status of the Web3 gaming market, Web3. I've got wonderful panelists today, each with their own respective expertise that they've gathered throughout many years in their respective fields. And why don't we start by introducing ourselves? Let's start with Burak. Why don't you're right next to me on my screen, so I just chose you as the first one to go. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Introduce yourself. Why don't you tell us about how you got into this industry and what you do, and just give us some information.
Okay, got it. Thank you for inviting me this conference. So basically, I'm a 26 years old entrepreneur. I'm a CEO of the Nerf IT. So Nerf IT is a platform enriched with crypto and NFT. So where you can participate in tournaments, education, and events within the esports and the Web3 fields. Apart from that, I have a 10 years experience on the gaming market. I was working for the Riot Games, QBEin, and ESL. So that's the Burak. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much for being with us today. Peter, would you like to go next?
Yes, nice to meet you. Hello, everyone. My name is Peter. I'm from Byzantium company. I also started DAO Builders project and an advisor at Byzantium project. What we do, we help projects, new Web3 projects, to build their inner economy in terms of Web3, in combining it with blockchain and decentralized autonomous organizations. That's what we do. And we help projects to move Web3. That's it.
That's wonderful. Thanks so much for being with us today. Mustafa, if you'd like to start. If you want to go ahead.
Thank you so much. So I essentially got into this through just regular development. I built my first company, Renesas Tech, about 4 or 5 years ago, and sort of focused in on blockchain. Slowly developed it, and then worked on my next startup, which was Arcadian Lab. We made a few games that hit the top charts, and everything's good. And I believe that's what put me in that position where I believed I could dive into blockchain games. And so I'm working on my third startup, which is Scar Speed, which is a Web3 racing game.
That's wonderful to hear.
Yeah, guys. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
And best of wishes. And you've already have achieved so much success with your startups. I'm sure you'll do amazing as well with this one. And I personally know Ihor. I had a chance to meet him in person as well. He's a lovely person, and it's amazing to have him here amongst us as well. We previously met at a older on-site event on Hyper Games Conference. So I know what you guys do, but why don't you tell for the rest of the people that are watching us right now, Ihor, why don't you give us a little bit more information about yourself, your company? We were just introducing ourselves.
Hi, my name is Ihor Kubalskyi. I'm CEO and founder of QBEin. We're doing mostly Web3 blockchain stuff. Last year we did 2 games with NFT on blockchain, like all avatars, all characters on chain. Can tell that it's still working, it's still alive. So even on such market, so for me it's a quite result, quite good. And they didn't start marketing like big so far because of the market. There is no sense to do a good marketing on this market. What else? So the company mostly focused on Web3 development, and the games is only like the part of what we are doing right now. The hype of AI, and we also like hire people who experts in AI who can write models, learn the algorithms, who can do like good prompts for AI and educate them correctly. It's like can be utilized in games, like you can connect ChatGPT to all NPCs and have a good conversation with any NPC on the map, something like that. You don't need to think about dialogues or characters or their personalities. You can tell like this is the Smith. Smith can make you sword. Also, he can answer the questions about like Smith stuff, something like that. And this is personality of AI, something like that. Maybe I forgot something, but this is most prime things that we are doing right now. Next year, this year, 2023, we are focused on the blockchain games, like gamify processes with the AI source, let's say like this. So with connection of some kind of open GPT, chat GPT, Midjourney, or like voice synthesis for avatars, something like that. That's it. Thank you, guys. Glad to see you. I remember like you from Istanbul. Very glad that you looks good. You have smiles on your faces. Glad to see you. That's it.
Thanks a lot. Absolute pleasure to be meeting with you and all of us, our dear panelists as well. It's always a fun experience being a part of Hypergames Conference. Yeah, definitely very interesting points. These types of revolutionary transitional technology, even the effects that it's going to have on the gaming industry is tremendous, really. Like you said, NPCs that generate dialogue via AI. You've got Midjourney and stuff like. We've also got like the new app I saw on Steam, something Alchemy, is just an AI that just designs RPG levels within minutes. You know, a map that usually takes like hours of artists working on each intricate details of a map, and an AI just starts doing it in minutes. Similar to the Web3 technologies and blockchain technologies, these are definitely revolutionary developments within the industry, and I'm just happy and very excited to be a part of this industry at this time, where we get to see and witness firsthand what these types of advancements in technology is going to do to the industry, and how it's going to affect, and how we're going to adapt as developers, as gamers, as CEOs, as tech entrepreneurs, whatever we may be. And it's definitely a very exciting time to be within the gaming industry. So thanks a lot again for the introductions. Before we start getting into the details, obviously these are still relatively new phenomenons, new developments. What I wanted to do first is let's determine what exactly Web3 is, what Web3 gaming is, and what the key features of Web3 gaming can be described as. We can start with that. Anyone can start this question. I don't have a particular order in mind. Whoever feels comfortable to go first, please take the stage.
Let me start, because that's a question I hear like almost every day. People asking what's the difference between Web3 games and Web2 games. And the main difference is in assets. The Web3 expect you to manage your assets, your gaming assets on a very new level, rather than just to offer this management to the service provider. So right now you can you can start using your assets. You can start exchanging them. So Web3, and when you can read, publish, and own something on the internet, like from the basic explanation of what is Web3. So Web3 gaming is a game when you own all the kind of your assets, and it's public, and you are free to trade and exchange it. That's from my point of view. So when the inner economy of the project is connected with the rest of the market, it's easy to transfer from in and out.
That's a very valid point. I'll just add to that. So that's, of course, 100% spot on, Peter. I'll just add a few more things from my end. The first being, I think there's a time value of a player that in Web2 games doesn't really have a financial value attached to it. And what Web3 is essentially doing is, so for X amount of time that I spent playing the game, now it turns into a store of value. So I can actually now plug out this value from the game, and I can go and trade it on a marketplace in the form of assets, in the form of all the things that I acquire while playing this Web3 game. And it has other deeper connotations in terms of assets, what renders them truly unique. I believe we'll dive into it as we discuss the subject matter. But I think the most profound thing that happens from a player's perspective is that their time actually has a financial value associated with it.
So I totally agree with the Peter and Mustafa. But I want to add something. So for the key features of the Web3 gaming is the ownership, player-driven decisions, and we can say, let's say, transparent gaming. So I think the main thing is why companies have difficulties collaborate with each other in the Web2 field, but in the Web3 field, NFTs or technologies can be integrated in the other games very easily. So it's become really strong compared to Web2.
I agree, absolutely.
Well, I think I would disagree with you, Yarkın, about the values in games. You told that no values was in games before. There always was a lot of value in the game's assets. It always was like this, but no one cared about this because everybody thought about games like about common business, like a store or a bakery, I don't know. So everyone expected, so everything made by game studio is intellectual property of game studio, and no one else can pretend on it. So there always was lots of value. It were, but right now you can operate with this value.
Actually, of course, it had a value, but the value belonged to entire to gaming firms, gaming companies. So it now belongs to the players. I think we are all on the same page here.
Can I?
Please.
Before Web3 games, the guilds don't have any power. There was just the chats on some kind of forum or something like that. Some people who discuss, draw, do some art, and usually it's for free because they are fans of the game, something like a non-profit organization. Now they have power, they have money. If they join to the game, the token of the game can run to the moon, rocket launch. So yeah, correct, Burak. To the moon. So think about it. People before such things like Web3 games don't have their full-time job. Now the full-time job can be a player, professional player. And where all games going right now, I think they're looking for the successful implementation of player one, something like that. The company is looking for this VR recognized wearings, something like that. Other companies looking for the game with NFT that allows you to upgrade your character, upgrade NFT. It's like infinite Mandelbrot, this, how to call it? You got it. You got the point. So it's like when you finish with one collection, there is another collection or multiplicator of previous collection. So infinite melody of assets, something like that. We believe like that sooner or later, something like aggregators of Web3 games, like decentralized publishers, will appear. Like decentralized Steam will appear. And people can transfer the assets from like Counter-Strike to Dota, like transferable assets between games from the marketplace, and some expensive assets can be sold like gold miners. They go and have probability to find gold. Here the same, they have probability to sell it. They can put for selling, but it will be never bought. You can sell it as many times as you want, something like that.
Wonderful points. Just to quickly sum it up, one of the key differences and key features of this whole technology of Web3 is obviously ownership, like you all mentioned. Having true ownership over digital assets is the next step in this evolution, as we said. And what Ihor said is great, because that's exactly what I was going to ask in the next question, in the follow-up question as well. So we talked about the differences. These were some of the main differences between a Web2 game and a Web3 game: the ability to actually own assets, the ability to turn them into some sort of profit, even though this was done before Web3 in some sort of way, or shape or form, where you would sell accounts that had skins on them or something like that. Like in CSGO, you would get a rare knife skin and you would sell that account. Technically, that wasn't an NFT, but it was kind of like the forefounding infrastructure for it, if you think about it, or like a skin in Fortnite, and you would sell your account on eBay or something like that. Now it's just strictly on the asset part of it, so people don't have to sell their accounts, but they can actually trade assets. And maybe in the future, like Ihor said, there'll be intertradable assets between AAA titles like Dota, like CSGO, or whatever, like Fortnite. The next thing I wanted to ask is, so most people, we've talked about the overall features of Web3. Now, as a market, is this the next big thing in the games industry? Are Web3 games just going to sweep the market? Are they going to take over? Where does Web3 games go? What do you think about the quality of products in the market currently? What do you think about the games? Do you think, for instance, I'm just going through some of the notions in my head. Do you think there's going to be a lot of like AAA competitors in this industry? And I have a couple of bullet points as well I'll ask as we go on, maybe, but in Web3, some key factors also work differently. For instance, how people invest in this cyberspace works differently. Having, for instance, from an investor standpoint, you need social proof. They want to see a minimum viable community as opposed to a minimum viable product. How do you think these will mature over time as time goes on and as this industry carries forward?
You mean all the question connected with the governance, which mentioned Ihor is a guild economy. So governance decision implementing of decentralized and autonomous organizations is a huge thing, and I'm not sure if everyone would use it by the end. I think we will see the new rules of the market and how it's going to be in the future, and we cannot imagine it. I think we are over-promising. We are looking at this market like an over-promising market. But imagine before the time of people, how they before the history, how people traded their goods. They just chosen a random place, let's say near the river, to exchange their furs and sticks and stones and whatever. But one day they decided that this place would be the special place named marketplace, and everyone would have a special place to sell their goods at this marketplace. And we are right now. So just few years ago, internet was just a place near the river when everyone met each other and started trading their own values with their own goals and their own ideas why they're doing this, because you can exchange items from Dota to items to I don't know, Diablo. You can do it right now, but it's illegal because it's a random place near the river. It's not a marketplace. It's what we are waiting for. We are waiting for real market with all of those assets, because we are just starting to create these assets. In nearest future, we will see how people will start exchanging. That's my point. So the problem right now, because no one understands how it's going to be like in a few years after. So what would become of NFT marketplaces? Would it be marketplaces for games? Would it be marketplaces for access keys, for some features in the internet, maybe for some services? Maybe it would be all about the decentralized finance and different liquidity protocols and nothing else. Maybe all the NFT marketplace just about it, not about art, not about games. Maybe that's the future. But so right now we are just choosing the place where to place our marketplace, place, and that's my point of view.
Makes sense. So yeah, sure. If you want to go for it.
Thank you. I want to say the future of Web3 games will be designed like autonomous worlds, something like that. The ability to put a game's entire state and logic on a publicly verifiable, censorship-resistant, and decentralized blockchain, as well as advantages in on-chain generation, which will overcome constraints like storage and trick complex world, like in just executable. This will be the future. And who knows, will be this game, can we tell that it's a game anymore? Maybe it will not be a game, it will be like a parallel life, something like that, with pixels and with all this stuff that can be censored, or how to call it, can be edited, can be disconnected for any government or country, something like that. Everything is on chain, everything is on blockchain, operated by blockchain, but connected to the gameplay, like game interface. Maybe it will not be the game anymore, but I want to be something like that, to let it be a game, not a real life for humans.
Yeah, for sure. So my take, obviously, when I look at Web3 games is, as you mentioned, Yarkın, if I look at the current state of games versus what the possible future could be, what I'm looking at is that, of course, it's a new layer, so people are out for raising money, right? And scams are ripe, scams are real. Majority of the people are doing scams, right? I've seen many people who don't really understand what they're building, and it's more about the financial aspect. So what they're doing is they're trying to gamify the entire finance, right, aspect of it, which then loses the gameplay aspect, and then this turns into like a mess. Obviously there are many games. I'm not gonna name any game here, but everybody knows that there are many games that have come out. About 95% have not been successful. Out of those which have been successful, they've faced many problems, user acquisition being another big one, where everything has to do with the monetization value of the game. So, hey, purchase the NFT to enter the game, right? But the price of the NFT increases, and when it increases, it causes a problem for user acquisition. Another big problem is that user behavior has not really been tested. So for those of us who've worked in games before, right, we have our sponsor, Crazy Labs, right, working in these games. So like, if you look at these big publishers or even studios like ourselves, right, we rely on testing, and we rely on building a product which slowly but steadily is tested properly, and you have the right metrics, and then you launch. But what's happening right now is that user behavior, obviously, when there's a monetization layer implemented, and now my way of looking at this game has completely changed. I'm perceiving this game differently. I'm making money in this game. And as soon as this happens, my behavior now needs to be, recalibrated, and it needs to be evaluated. How am I playing this game? How has my retention been impacted, right? And how easy is it for a Web2 player to enter into Web3? So right now there are many roadblocks: get a wallet, purchase the NFT, scams, right? So players can't possibly find a solution. I mean, they possibly could, but they're here to have a good time. They're here to play a game, not read a white paper, let's say, or not really dive into the intricacies that, let's say an investor really does, right? So these are different problems at different layers where gameplay has been forgotten for now. But of course, it's a matter of time. So these are the concerns that we have. But is the future dark? No. On the panel, everybody's spoken about really solid, important points. Guilds, for example, right, where you can build communities and clans could actually be a real thing. Marketplaces, which would actually have value because there's financial value associated with what's on the marketplace, and so on. However, the big challenge would be, how do I introduce this Web3 game to a Web2 consumer? And how would I make it easier for this Web2 consumer to enter? Because right now we're looking at tokens that, the value increases, but then the studio benefits, but somebody else loses. At what cost are we doing this, and so on. So implementing tokenomics in a way where it's done properly would be a challenge, I feel. And I do believe in my heart of hearts, since developing a game economy is it's a science in itself, I don't think tokenomics should be implemented from the get-go. I think blockchain is a very special layer. It has to do with money. And when you're playing with money, I think you should take it layer by layer and test accordingly, and then sort of implement.
I love those points. Oh, sorry, Burak, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Yarkın. I agree with all the mates, but it should be noted that we are still in the early stage. So we don't know that this market will be the largest in the future, of course, but it's definitely worth your time and money because it promises a great future. But I think the most important thing is that we should have better games and better user interfaces to a better sustainable economy. We shouldn't be included just because Web3 is just a sexy word. We need to train more on this to community, and people should know what they are investing. It doesn't matter money or time. They should know. They have to know what they are invested. So actually, at Nerf IT, we are trying to adapt to Web2 to Web3 community, and that's definitely tricky. And we are still looking for solutions that work 100%. And actually, we don't find work 100% solution, to be honest. Thank you.
I feel the same way, and I feel that's not just Nerf IT, that's not just Aden Games or Arcadian Labs or QBEin. That's not just any platform or game developer or infrastructure provider. I feel like that is a very common problem for everyone, every single shareholder involved in the industry, in the blockchain Web3 gaming. Some of the notes that I took while people were talking, many massive projects have also suffered like just incredible losses because of this issue. First off, drawing Web2 gamers into Web3 is difficult. Let's face that. Well, we have to agree on that. I read a very funny post about this on LinkedIn, and it was this like tech entrepreneur influencer, bunch of followers on LinkedIn, a couple of thousand, 100,000 rather, and he just had this post, and it was actually pretty funny. Oh, you want to get into Web3 as a gamer? Follow these easy 56 steps to start playing such and such game, and it's actually 56 different processes that you have to go through. So you get the wallet, and then you get an account here, then you transfer your funds there, then you have to send this much thing to this and buy this cryptocurrency, and then buy the token, and then add to the LP, and then purchase an NFT. And it actually takes 56 individual steps to play the game. Not casual, but a conventional Web2 gamer just does not find that appealing. Who finds it appealing? People that go into the blockchain industry or business or Web3 ecosystem for financial gain. Majority of the people that go into Web3 with a financial motivation are not gamers. Eventually, games die out because they're not gamers. They don't play the game for playing the game for sake of having fun. They play it because of a financial gain. And I feel like that's a very common problem with the current status of the market. Another thing is, it's very different because community-driven development, guilds, clans, they play a massive role. Whereas with a casual game, let's say you release a game, you release a patch note, and that's it. That's your communication with your community. Maybe you'll have like a weekly or a monthly, like Ask Me Anything type of thing, a stream. But with community-driven development, you have to literally every day talk to thousands of people and kind of work together. Like Mustafa said, tokenomics can't be decided from the get-go. You have to kind of test it out, kind of consult and talk with your community, look at the feedback, look at the data that you're getting back from the implementations that you've made throughout your game development cycle, and move accordingly. So these are definitely some of the differences that we struggle with as well, and we still try to find unique solutions to optimize this process. But I don't think there's like a one answer fits all type of deal here, which is one of the challenges that we as an industry have to overcome, which is why we're here.
Can I add something, Yarkın?
Please, yeah, go ahead.
This is the comment I get the most from the Web2 audience, and that's about for 100,000 people. They always say, we don't want to make money, we want to play games. So before the focus on the money should not be presented as a goal. We have to say that the game is fun, and you can earn money from it. But the most Web3 companies, maybe including us, we always say, hey, do you playing any games? You can gain money from there. But they're not focusing the money. Actually, they spent the money for just playing the game. So we want to focus the game and tokenomics, actually.
Yeah, so I have a question with no answer here. There are 2 points of view on the future audience of the global internet market, and the first one is a classic one. So you should reward users, the early birds who join your project at the very beginning. It's a common marketing model, nothing special, nothing new. And the next point of view, the opposite, is that the user retention is the best resource you can imagine in the future. So, and everybody would be fighting around this user retention, and they would be able to pay money in the future. So that's not just for early birds, that's for the future type of economy. So what do you guys really think? Because I have no answer for this. So right now it's definitely about early birds, but maybe it would change in the future. So what's your ideas about it?
Can I answer that? Okay, thank you. I think the sense of achievement, okay, is very important. So I am using not the play to earn terms. I'm using the achievements to earn terms, because the whole gamers, they want to achieve something. They want to mind. They don't want to mind anything. They want to achieve something, and they want to earn. So I mostly use it achieve to earn technologies.
Definitely a more unconventional technique there as well. I haven't seen many examples of it, but definitely a very unique and hopefully a fruitful solution for that problem. Motivation, awareness, these types of things, I feel like take time to mold. So what we're trying to do is change the perception of millions of gamers, right? We're trying to implement this idea that, instead of paying for a traditional game and playing it for 8 hours if it's just like a story-driven game, or like thousands of hours if it's multiplayer, if it's replayability, whatever. Instead of paying money to play the game, why don't you play this game, enjoy, have fun, get that gratification, get that feeling of achievement, get that sensation. And on top of it, as an added incentive, as an added benefit, you get the chance to earn such, and etc., or X amount of this. But as soon as you say earn, there's this stigma that has been implemented deeply into the minds of everyone out there because of what's been happening in a very young market. Like Mustafa said, there's like 90% of the projects when blockchain was first gaining like this massive hype were scams. So people have to kind of understand that the market is evolving, companies are evolving, the people invested in this industry are gaining expertise, but that I feel like that just takes time. And personally, I can't find a sure way of changing that perception. But if any of you have any thoughts, please take the stage from me.
So I'll jump in. You've left me at a very dangerous end here, though. But what I'll say here, my 2 cents on this would be, somebody will come, right? And it's a matter of time. And obviously, the thing with innovation is it's pure innovation, right? This technology and infusing it with, a new game design, because, fusing it with existing game designs has their own problems. Because I heard somebody say or question me, why doesn't League of Legends implement blockchain if it's so good? And I said, it's not that simple, right? Why don't they just convert these assets to NFTs? And I'm like, they're not going to be truly unique. It's like, what do you mean truly unique? I'm like, so an NFT's purpose would be to render it, like, for example, hypothetically speaking, unique in its essence, right? And if I launch a skin in Halloween of year 2020 and only 1 million people got it when they logged in, it's still 1 million out there, right? Or 2 million out there. And so what would render an NFT truly unique would be that the players, so obviously this is my hypothesis on the matter, because for development side, if the developers now or the designers now or 3D artists now have to start working on all these assets, it's a complete mess, right? It's an added expense for studios. It's almost impossible for us to handle this. What I see as the future of NFT creation and a truly unique NFT system would be that players become creators. So for example, you're upgrading your NFT and it's like an ever evolving concept of an NFT that you can later on take to the market, but rendering it kind of truly unique in some aspect. And yes, retention mechanics are changed, and there are many other aspects of it would change. Like, so we, Yarkın, I remember we even discussed, basically just touched on community, right? It plays a big role. It used to be build a minimum viable product, but now it's more like build a minimum viable community. And if you have that community, then you build the product, which is interesting because now it's for the people, right? And it's transparent in one way or the other. Like you have a white paper, which is disclosing what you're building. Usually, it's supposed to be a trade secret. What I'm building is my secret. I don't want to share it. Why would I share my game design, right? If it, let's say, for example, solves the problem of the Web3 industry, and so I believe there's going to be more transparency. And because the intrinsic value is so real, the fact that there's going to be transparency, the fact that it's for the people, the fact that people are coming together and you require them to come together for, with the aspiration to build a game like this, I think these are all good points. And when the base is good and the foundation is strong, it will lead to something very promising in the future. But yes, it is a matter of time, and innovation takes time. I think that's the best way that I could put it.
Definitely hopeful for the future. That hearing that from an industry expert like yourself definitely kind of puts me a little bit of ease. Transparency, community-driven development. If you went to a gaming company 5, 6, 7 years ago and told them the concept of a white paper and said to them, "Hey, so there's going to come a time when you're going to, reveal all this confidential information, post it online. In fact, try to get as much exposure for it as possible and try to get thousands upon thousands of people." They just call you mad. They just call you, say, "Well, that's just dumb. That's just not going to happen." Yet here we are. Now we're trying to make sure people read every single detail. Literally everyone on Twitter. I want everyone on Twitter to read every single detail about Marbleverse, about the product that we have. And 5 years ago, this was madness. 6 years ago, this was madness. But seeing these types of steps being taken this market, definitely, I feel like personally bodes well for the future, for what to expect. Can't say for certain, obviously, but I'm genuinely happy with how far we've become as a community, as shareholders, as everyone, as you, me, Peter, Burak, Ihor. Very happy with where we've come so far with this new development in the gaming industry.
What's really cool that that we really step by step come to the future when the community can change the rules of some game or protocols, and they really can vote, or even if they can't vote for some vital decision inside the game. In Web3, if it's a real Web3 game, people would always be welcome to make a clone of this game with their own rules. So that's a main difference for Web3 projects as well. So you can always make a fork and use your assets from previous games in your own fork. You can do it. So that's the future, yes, waiting for.
Something that we're excited as well. Definitely would love to have the opportunity to use like something from our previous game in our next game, and I feel like that would be very enticing, for the players as well, for the gamers as well. I feel like that'd be a fun experience. And
yes, because everyone who played the game once and had an idea like, I want to improve this level, I want to improve this logic, I want to improve these puzzles, and how can I do it? Where is the place I can offer these improvements? So that's a question for gamers, and I'm playing less and less, but when I'm playing, I still have such moments when I asking why so.
I'm sure everyone has asked themselves at one point after like a losing streak, why am I here? Why am I still doing this to myself? We briefly touched on some of the answers that, I was going to ask about the future of the Web3 market. I was going to ask you guys if you had any specific predictions for the near future, or let's say 5 years or 10 years, whichever you want. If you'd like to touch on this, we can briefly mention this as well. And then I have a very fun question that I've saved for last. I really want to spare some time for that as well. And I don't want to overstay our welcome here and keep anyone hostage. So if you have any predictions for the Web3 market, for the future of it, I can hear those, or we can move on to the next question.
We'll grow up approximately at 2028 for some predictions, 70, maybe 100%. So it's kind of bullish, but not too much like AI, for example. I think like the future will be in the connection of the blockchain, AI, and game market, something like that, plus minus. And we are 5 here. Like if you play Dota, we can make a perfect team.
I usually jungle, so yeah. Jungle or trolls. Like if I don't jungle, I throw. So
now you have more questions. Why?
All right. Well, did you want to say something, Peter?
Just want to say that I have no special forecast for the future for this year, and I hope no one can have a forecast for this year. But I'm more optimistic than Ihor, and I'm expecting a huge growth in 2 years, not in 4 years, not in 5 years. I expect the huge growth of the Web3 market in 2 years, and I hope more huge company would start implement different Web3 stuff into their games, and it would be more independent developers, because we already have cases where people donate to create some games, and I expect more of future crowdfunding and crowdsourcing at Web3 gaming market. That's my forecast for the next 3 years, maybe 2 years.
2 years, maybe 3 years. 2020. Mustafa?
I would agree with Peter. I think that yes, 2 years, 3 years, it's really changing super fast. Like 2 months later, I don't know what I missed. It's like a year has passed. So I do believe that we're going to see some incredible stuff in the next 2 years. Given my understanding so far and what people are working on, and now we actually have good, experienced, seasoned developers and people who have experience in blockchain coming together and building solutions. It's not like how it was in 2018 when it was just hype and an unknown anonymous person builds this thing and then takes the money away. I don't think that's going to be happening in the future now. At least it's going to be very, very difficult. So I do feel the market is maturing, and I do feel that we will see something very strong very soon.
Awesome. Definitely bodes well. And definitely it does comfort me hearing these thoughts as well, because I also share something. Definitely, maybe not as quick as 2 years. 3 to 5 years would be my estimate. Like 3 years, maybe 2025-ish, I feel like. But looking at all the speculative data, the research online, it all points to this as well. And I am hopeful for the near future of the market as well. So hearing that from you guys also made me happy. Moving on to the final question. I really, Mustafa and I had a brief chit chat about this, and we thought we were going to have a lot of fun with this. So we talked about all the good stuff. We talked about all the potential, all the revolution, the evolution. It's a huge milestone in game industry. This tech that's just bursted into our lives. There's so much potential here. It's such great innovation. We love Web3, amazing. So we discussed all the benefits of it, but what about some of the bad stuff? What about some of the liabilities of Web3? What about some of the limitations of Web3? What do you think some of the limitations are? How would these difficulties, these challenges that the industry has to overcome affect the developing market for Web3 games? Because there are problems with it, we all know.
There are massive problems, and I'll just share one with you that I faced because obviously in North America, where everything is headed, the headquarters are there, and in North America we have this thing called the Securities Commission, right? And it's not something that everybody talks about, and it's a very hush subject, for people in Web3. The minute you say Securities Commission, everybody just looks and, hey, I'm not there. I'm not in Canada. I'm not in North America. I'm in a place where it's not going to affect me, right? But in all honesty, if we look at it, and I hated it when I heard from the Securities Commission that NFTs are now going to be treated as securities, and because when we were launching our collection, the initial plan was that we'll have a token that will we'll give a percentage of the trade volume and so on and so forth. And then I had my lawyer talk to me, and he's like, listen, don't do this. And I'm still doing it, right? I'm like, okay, fine, relax. It's okay. And then slowly but surely, every day he sends me a reminder. He's like, don't do this, I'm telling you. And then slowly starts posting stuff, right? He's sending me stuff in my DM. And I finally listened to him, and I got other feedback as well. This is real. What's the biggest problem that we're going to be seeing? And it's not just I wouldn't really call it a problem. I think it's a good thing, because it's finance and it should be regulated in one way or the other, but it's decentralized at the same time. So I don't know what's going on. So nobody really understands where the sweet spot is, but scams are also happening, right? And do you agree with scams? And that's how they talk to you, right? I'm like, I don't agree with scams. Or what if you turn into a scam? Like, I'm here, I'm in front of you, I'm not running away. I'm like, I'm talking to you. But it's like this back and forth, right? So in all honesty, if you ask me, what would be the number one concern that all Web3 developers would be looking at would be understanding the Securities Commission and their rules and regulations, and then implementing your, whether you call it an NFT, whether it's your token and whatnot, to, obviously within their guidelines. And if it's not in, let's say, a particular jurisdiction, right, and you feel, hey, it's not going to come here, I'm telling you, it will come here. It's just a matter of time, because this is just the natural way of how monetary systems have evolved, and so they will come, right? So I think that's number one. And I don't want to take all of them. I mean, I'll let other people talk about that. That was the biggest one for me.
I feel like we can have an entire panel just to discuss the downsides of it as well, because there's so much stuff on my mind as well.
Yes.
Can I take the second
Yeah,
one?
please go ahead, please.
Apart from the regulation barriers, I wanna talk about the adaptation rate or adaptation barriers. The adaptation of Web3 technology and games will depend on the level of education and awareness. So the industry or just will need to work to educate and engage users in order to drive adoption. So I think the second barrier is adoption, because the Web3 things, the whole things is driven by the community. So we need to fix that. It's also a good thing, but we need to more educated and engaged people.
I would agree.
Actually,
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, raising
Yes.
awareness.
What I wanted to add about the lawyers in SAC, for example, lots of people are afraid of SAC, but from my point of view, they've never punished anyone for doing normal stuff. They've punished scammers. They've punished someone who tried to cheat people. Not a single ICO was punished for ICO itself. They were punished for some kind of scam. They were not punished for initial token offering. And SEC not focus on punishments. So they're focused on laws and regulations, and that's okay. And we'll see to future. From my point of view, the most weak spot of all this Web3 market is UI UX. As we said at the very beginning, you just need to follow 63 easy steps and you are in. So that's the main issue here. And the second issue is the scammers, as we said before, but I'm not afraid of scammers because the bravest conquer the market, not the smartest. That's true. That's true. And people who scammers they're always brave. That's why they do it first, not because they're scammers, but because they're brave. But the smart people, they're always afraid of some casualties, features, a lot of stuff. They care about a lot of stuff. That's why they're not so successful. So, but that's okay. In the nearest future, all these scammers would be blowouts, and they would try to find a new place to scam, and they will find it, and it would be the new great market, and we will discuss it. So, so lawyers is not a problem, scammers is not a problem, but UIX is still a little bit a problem, and we need to improve it for mass adoption. So that's it. And the educational stuff, that's still in trend. We need to create more of this. That's it.
Yeah.
AI, of course, AI can help us. AI can help us to educate our audience, our users, our players, so we can edit as well.
Yeah, that's one way.
It's not a problem. It's a solution.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the barriers.
AI can generate levels like world. AI can generate characters like their speeches. AI can generate the subject, like last series of metrics, where you can select the outcome of the movie, something like that. Here you can just select where the strategy will go after your choice, something like that with AI. So, and all these choices are saved on the blockchain, so it's immutable. Makes sense.
Definitely a lot to discuss here, and just food for thought. I feel like this could make for an amazing workshop, where if people like you, people like us, got together and just discussed the limitations, liabilities, problems with Web3. And if we had time, I would love to just sit here with you guys and discuss what sort of solutions could be implemented for instance, increasing awareness and educating the people, how we could facilitate entry into Web3 from Web2 instead of 56 or 64 easy steps. Maybe we could find alternatives for that. Or like the points Mustafa brought up, these these answers that all of you gave would make for an amazing workshop. Hopefully, maybe we can get together in the future and discuss and try to come up with solutions for the betterment, for the entire benefit of the industry. But definitely some valid concerns about the Web3 market and the liabilities as well. Now, we did amazing, by the way. This is perfect timing. Before I start with my closing remarks, our dear Polina wrote in chat, there's a question. The question is, there is no real game yet on Web3. Unfortunately, many people either left due to market conditions or because of a delay. By when do you think Web3 will pick up the speed again? Any thoughts? There was a question from the audience.
This year.
This year.
This year, after the better game developments.
After?
Yeah, better game.
Unreal 5 engine games are in the development right now, and they would be ready, yes, by the end of the year, and they would have at least part of Web3 features. Maybe not all of them, but maybe just a few of them, like NFT assets and maybe some tokens. Not all of them, but some of them.
Yeah, our team in the process of development, several Web3 games already starting from the January, and some kind of decentralized publisher at the first iteration. Maybe it will be successful, maybe not, who knows. We're just building.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Whatever it's going to be, hopefully better than before. So, we'll be seeing some new stuff out there for sure.
Well, our experts have said, this year is going to be very important, very big for the entire Web3 market. Hopefully, we can all play and enjoy these new installments that are coming with seasoned veterans and developers that have gained experience, expertise in this industry. Hopefully, this year will be better for all of us. Having said that, we're about to run out of time. I would like to once again thank each and every single one of my panelists, Mustafa, Peter, Ihor, Burak. You've made this an immensely pleasurable and incredibly fun panel. You guys have had amazing points, and thank you so much for your just invaluable contributions. I'd also like to thank our organizers and everyone involved in setting this up and bringing us together. And that's me signing off. If you guys have any closing remarks, we can get those as well, and then call it a day.
Thank you.
In Istanbul this spring.
Yeah, come by.
Conference is coming soon. So.
Yeah, I'd love to see you guys here. I'll buy you first rounds on me.
Okay, thank you.
This has been amazing. Thank you, guys. Thank you to the audience. Thank you to the organizers.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Пока.
Bye.